Hey, do you like to chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat to yourself?
It's What's So Funny time! Yay! Welcome. I'm Guy McPherson. This is a special pre-radio podcast drop of What's So Funny. Our guest today is Graham Chittenden. That's right, Chittenden. I know how to say his name. Some people don't, but I do. Graham's in town for the Just for Laughs comedy tour, and he had a day off. And we thought we'd get this podcast up and out to the world ahead of his shows in Surrey and Vancouver. So hope that's happening. Graham Chittenden is a comic you may have seen, but you wouldn't have seen him in a club here in Vancouver because he's never played a club in Vancouver. Go figure. He's one of the movers and shakers of the Toronto comedy scene, even though he lives and grew up in Brantford, Ontario. I find out exactly where that is in our conversation. Graham was a fun guy to talk to. He was, like I say, just here with Just for Laughs, playing at the Vogue Theatre, along with Robert Kelly, Christella Alonso, and Jerry D. Graham Chittenden is a writer, or was a writer, we should say, on Mr. D on CBC TV. We had a lot of fun. Well, I'll correct that. I can't speak for him. I had a lot of fun talking to Graham, and I hope you have a lot of fun listening. So why don't we just get right to it? Graham Chittenden and I talking about the Just for Laughs tour, about life, about comedy, you name it. Stay tuned, because here I am with Graham Chittenden. Graham Chittenden. Chittenden, how did I say that?
You nailed it.
Nailed it right off the top.
Best way to I tell everybody this, hit the first syllable and then mumble through the rest.
Chittenden.
Chittenden.
But, you know, I can't see any other way of pronouncing that.
Well, I've heard many different ways.
Such as?
Chittenden.
Tendon, I guess. Tendon.
Yeah. Most people get about 2 syllables in and give up. Like they just make up a third syllable. Chittenhugh, Chittenham, Chittington, whatever they feel like.
It sounds to me British.
I think it is.
Oh, you don't know?
I suspect strongly.
You should take some interest in your family history.
In my whitewashed heritage? Well, my parents were born in Canada. I think my grandparents were born in Canada.
Yeah.
So.
Canadian.
Very Canadian.
Yeah, very. You're from Brantford.
Brantford, Ontario.
A lot of comics come from Brantford, Ontario.
That's right. Darren Frost, Gord Painter.
Darren Frost, former guest on the show. Gord Painter, no. Anyone else? I said a lot, and you named 2, and so there's 3 of you.
That feels like a pretty good amount.
Oh, yeah?
Wayne Gretzky, not a comedian.
No, not even funny.
No. Still probably one of the worst Saturday Night Live episodes of all time.
Really?
Yeah. 80-something.
Didn't help when he came out in Sport of Harper either.
No. Worse than the SNL episode.
Yeah, so Brantford. Oh, yeah, so where is Brantford compared to Toronto?
The Shadows. It's 100 kilometers west.
100K west.
60 miles for you American listeners.
We got many. Many.
How many?
I don't know.
3?
Who knows? So, Graham, you're here with the Just for Laughs comedy caravan tour extravaganza. There's a lot of words in there. Some of them may be official.
Feels like a caravan some days.
Yeah. I think it used to be called the caravan.
I think they used to travel more on the roads, yeah.
Yeah, this tour started where? In Ottawa?
We started in Hamilton.
Hamilton. I was just in Hamilton for the first time in my life.
For what purpose?
Beautiful.
It's got its pockets.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of streets, but
Dundas,
2 or 3 of them are very nice.
Dundas was nice.
And Dundas is very nice, yeah.
That's where I was, visiting family.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you started in Hamilton.
Yes.
At the, where would you play there?
Hamilton Place.
Yeah. Not familiar.
Clever name.
Yeah. And there's the 4 of you on this tour. There is yourself, a good Canadian kid. There is Jerry D., who's Mr. Canada, really.
I think he thinks so, yeah.
Is that a shot?
No,
shot across the boat?
Travel with him, and he will uphold that name. Security knows who he is.
Yeah.
He's very popular among security people at airports.
Oh, yeah?
They all know him.
Huh.
Yeah, it makes the boarding process faster.
And he just says, "They're with me," and they let you guys go through.
No, sometimes he's last. So we get the gears, and then he shows up, and everyone kind of cools off a bit. He also has Nexus, so sometimes we don't see him till the other side.
Oh, you did? That's at airports, too, is it?
Yeah.
I just know that through driving across the border, the Nexus Pass.
They have it at the airport, too.
You also have on this tour Mr. Robert Kelly
Yes, we do.
from America.
Yeah. New York, more specifically.
Yes, East Coast guy. Boston specifically.
Boston originally.
Yeah. And the fourth comic is, of course,
Cristela Alonso.
Cristela Alonso, who is from Texas.
Yes. San Juan, to be specific.
Right by
You
the
want to get
border.
geographical? Yeah, border town.
So the four of you, 2 Canadians, 2 Americans, and you guys are like the tour guides on this tour.
Yeah, you would think so. Though I was in Red Deer for the first time ever, so I offered very little support in the Red Deer area.
Nothing you could say.
Okay, good. Yeah. Sometimes you tour Canada, but sometimes you really get to tour the travel lodges of Canada. You're not necessarily exploring the city.
Right.
You're exploring the reasonably priced hotels, all the way up to the lower high-level hotels.
Well, we are recording from the Travelodge here in downtown Vancouver.
It's beautiful. There's a hockey team meeting at Continental Breakfast, only 3 feet from us right now.
That's right.
All the kids in snow pants and T-shirts.
Yeah, snow pants here in Vancouver. Rain pants. We need the rain pants.
Kids on hockey teams wear snow pants no matter what. I feel when families travel to reasonably priced hotels, the kids are always wearing snow pants and boots.
Were you a hockey kid?
I was a hockey kid, yeah. Despite my size, I was a goalie for a very long time, as long as I could support it.
Our goalies usually, I know Brent Butt famously was a goalie, and he says put the fat kid in goal. Is that usually it? What do you mean, despite your size?
Well, you put the fat kid in goal because he fills a lot of the net,
yeah.
so that helps, or because he's not very fast. So if you only give him 3 or 4 feet to cover, he can generally cover that at some point.
But you were probably fast.
I did a bit. Yeah, I was fast, but I wasn't very big.
Yeah.
So they just put me in net, I think.
Right.
So, and then I did as long as I could, and then I stopped playing travel. I was cut because
that'll do it.
I always thought it was because of
You
size or
stopped.
politics, but the coach was banging the other goalie's mom.
Seriously.
I found that out years later.
And how did that make you feel?
Well, at the time I didn't know, and years later I realized it equipped me to deal with business. You don't always take things personally. Sometimes the best man gets a job, and sometimes the person who's banging somebody else gets the job.
That doesn't happen in comedy, though, does it?
I don't think anybody in comedy's ever banged each other. I feel like the waitresses feel very safe, and the people at the office have never banged anybody and given them more gigs. No. Very altruistic.
It is a merit-based system.
100%.
Yeah.
With no exceptions.
Exactly. Well, that's good. But I hear that you didn't start your career path in comedy right away. You went into math.
Yeah, I don't think anybody starts it right away.
Well,
unless you're a vaudeville family. I didn't grow up in a vaudeville family per se. No, I was going to be a real person. I was
like a
gonna
mathematician is barely a real person.
Yeah, I was going to be a teacher
Oh,
or
I see.
something, or an architect or something fancy.
But you liked
Something that would have made my Indian parents very proud.
I thought they were English.
No, they're English. But if they were Indian,
They would be proud.
yes.
But you're good with numbers.
I'm good with numbers, yeah, despite how little I'm being paid.
Do you have any math jokes in your act?
No.
You know, Erwin Barker used to have math jokes. They were great.
Yeah, he was very good. He had dictionary jokes, too.
Yeah.
He was the exception to the rule on what you couldn't joke about. Not for fear of tact or composure or what's the word? Decorum. He just could, he could make a joke about anything.
He could, and he didn't talk down to the audience because people would say, well, nobody will get a math joke. But he did, and everyone got it.
He was great.
What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that my tired old jokes probably need a sprucing up.
They're not tired old jokes. Are they? Hey, you're a familiar face, not in person until right now, but we see you've been to Vancouver.
Yes.
I don't see you in the clubs, though. Have you come out and played the clubs?
I've never played a club in Vancouver.
Why is that?
I've never been asked
What have you got
to.
against the clubs in Vancouver?
I have nothing against the clubs in Vancouver.
You haven't played Red Deer until this tour.
I have something against Red Deer.
Okay.
Proximity to my house is a big one.
It's far.
Yeah, if I lived in Red Deer, I probably would have done a comedy show in Red Deer by now.
Vancouver, also, it's even farther.
Vancouver is very far, but it's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never played, let me think about that. I've never played a club here.
No.
I don't get invited to sometimes.
Well, is it up to them to look you up and invite you, or do you have to say, hey, bring me into your club?
I think it's a bit of, you can do it either way.
Right.
You can complain, and they'll get a lot of, people who complain, you can get a lot of club work. and then you don't get it again until you complain again. So I never really liked that system.
Are you in the club system at all?
I am in the club system.
Are you in
somewhere.
Yuck Yucks?
I don't. I've played a Yuck Yucks club recently. I played Halifax a little bit when I was out there writing on Mr. D. I filled in a couple of nights.
Yeah.
But I haven't really done a club tour so much lately. So no, I'm overdue to play some clubs.
Well, we look forward to having you here because, I mean, on the Just for Laughs tour, which you're on, everyone gets about 20 minutes, correct?
Right.
Which is great. 20 best minutes.
Oh, yeah. In a club, you got my 20 best minutes and the 20 minutes I reluctantly spill onto you.
Then it's a lot of filler after that.
If you look closely, you can see my eyes glaze over for the middle 20 minutes of my act and go, okay, here we go.
During the check drop.
Exactly. Yeah. Do they do check drops at all the clubs out here?
They do.
Yeah.
Do they not in Toronto?
Oh, no, they do it there, too. I don't really think we're spoiled. No, I think they do it almost everywhere.
Yeah,
Here they don't do it at Absolute.
How do you get around it? What do they do at Absolute?
You wait and you pay at the end, and people get paid. The servers get paid the extra time to be there at the end, and credit cards are making it a little easier to pay quickly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think they've had credit cards for many years now.
but they're getting better with your taps and your what have yous and your internet connections. I think you can pay pretty quickly at the end rather than,
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
If somebody came into a movie halfway through and collected on that popcorn you had, you would probably be annoyed by that, wouldn't you?
Yes, that is a great analogy.
Yeah. Well, that's my business.
You're the analogy.
Analogies?
You're the analogy guy.
Well, it's part of it. That's not all I do.
That's the shtick.
I also whine, but some of it's analogies, yeah.
You whine.
I whine a little. I make some analogies to back up my whining. That's my comedy.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of not seeing me at a club.
Right, but of course we can see you online.
Yeah.
You whine online?
Yep.
Good.
Everywhere I go.
Everywhere you go. You don't seem too whiny today. Now, this is an off day for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few. Is it the only one?
Yeah, it's the only pure off day, no travel, no nothing is today.
Yeah, because you Hamilton and probably a few other cities along the way.
Hamilton, Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, and then we had a travel day. It wasn't an off day, but it wasn't a show day. And then we did Regina, and then we did Red Deer, Edmonton, Calgary. No, Kelowna was somewhere in there.
Then
and now we're here.
Yeah, now you're here. You've got Surrey tomorrow night, Vancouver the next night.
Victoria, which I see is lovely on the news right now, if you love fallen trees.
I didn't know. That's my hometown.
Yeah, I think they got some going on. You should call home.
It rained trees, did it?
Some trees fell over, yeah.
Big windstorm, I guess.
Big windstorm.
Well, it was kind of windy here, but I don't think any trees fell over.
Yeah, we had a little trouble landing. It was not so great. A little bit of turbulence coming over the mountains.
Don't like that at all. Not a fan.
I don't mind it.
You don't?
Nah. You know I'm not afraid to die in a plane crash?
Okay, let's talk about this, because I am.
It's pretty simple.
Okay.
I'm so afraid of making the wrong decision in my everyday life that if a plane crashes, I at least will go down with the satisfaction of knowing it was nothing I did.
Well, you got on that plane. You decided to...
Somebody else booked it for me, though.
Yeah. But what about just the descent? Oh, that would be terrible.
Yeah, I still feel like there's some sweet relief in there somewhere.
No, it'll stop the whining.
Yeah, exactly. I won't have to complain for money anymore.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So as you're coming in for your landing and it's very windy and rough, you're just smiling, sitting there.
Just like, well, all that stuff I was going to do, not so important anymore.
It puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. Only briefly.
Until you land.
Yes.
God damn it. Now I got it.
Then it puts the mountains into a close perspective.
That's right. So are you the we only mentioned 3 comics from Brantford. I thought there were a lot more. But are you the famous guy in your grad class?
Am I the famous guy in my grad? I guess if you consider me famous, I think I could be the most famous.
Yeah. Well, because most people don't have any level of fame.
Yeah, some people just go out and get good jobs, but they're not highly publicized.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some of those floating around.
Yeah. So, but you haven't been to your reunion. You don't know.
No, I don't even... I guess they do those, don't they? I always thought they were fake. I thought they were a TV gimmick. I thought they were a TV episode to pad out a 13-episode season. But they really do them.
Yeah, nobody called you.
No,
I'm sensing a trend here. The clubs don't call. Your high school reunion doesn't call.
Yeah. You're lucky you got me.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah, I don't know. When do they have these things? When is mine coming up?
Well, you get them usually at the 10-year and then the 20-year.
10 years over.
25.
Okay, well, my 20 year's not coming up for a few years. My 10's passed.
20 years.
So 20 years. And by then, I hope to still be at least where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back and I don't want to be split middle at my 20-year high school reunion.
You can go up and do 5 minutes.
Yeah,
for
they
your
would.
class.
They would ask.
Talking to Graham Chittenden on What's So Funny on CFRO 100.5 FM, Vancouver Cooperative Radio. I am Guy McPherson. So in high school, were you a funny guy?
I don't think so. I was funny enough to get by.
To your friends?
And get my ass kicked.
Did you?
Did not get my ass kicked very much.
That's good.
I think by being funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was funny enough. I was still there to learn. I still had to go to school for math. I had to keep it all together.
Oh, you went to school to learn, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't want to be completely useless.
But
I cracked jokes when it was time.
Appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably got good grades.
I got good grades. Yeah, I think I did stupid stuff that I thought was funny. I wore a lot of dumb shirts.
With sayings?
No, more like Hawaiian shirts. I wore a lot of Hawaiian shirts in high school.
Those aren't dumb.
But I thought they were funny for some reason.
Okay, so that is who you are. So you had an outgoing personality because it takes a certain kind of personality to wear a loud shirt like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I was outgoing.
Yeah,
had a good time.
What did your folks do? What is Brantford known for?
Brantford is known. Its big industry is businesses closing. It's a big industry. Brantford is a pretty interesting town. It's kind of in the middle of nothing, but it's city. It had a farm. Massey Ferguson was there and closed, and White's Farming Supply was also there and closed. A few other things opened and closed.
You're right.
A big mall killed the downtown. They shot Silent Hill, the movie Silent Hill. That abandoned downtown. That's Brantford.
What is that movie?
Silent Hill, based on the video game about an abandoned downtown. They came to Brantford. Get this, spruced it up so it would look like an abandoned downtown.
So it would look like
they had
an
to
abandoned home.
Yeah, they put a marquee back on an old theater that I didn't know was a theater until they put a marquee back up, and then my dad told me what it used to be.
Wow. So what did your dad do?
He's an engineer.
Oh, he still is.
Oh yeah,
In Brantford.
Burlington. He drives to Burlington every day.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, wherever that is.
Halfway to Toronto.
Halfway, so 50K.
Yep.
East. See?
Yeah.
Did that right in my head. I don't even know the area very well.
Is this what kind of podcast is this?
It's a geography podcast.
That feels like it.
Yeah. What do you mean, what kind of podcasts are there? Do you have a podcast?
I do not have a podcast.
You have a web series.
I had a web series.
Oh, you had a web series.
Yeah, we took a swing at that.
Yeah.
I don't have a podcast, but traveling with Americans makes you realize you should have a podcast.
Everyone has one.
They have them, and people listen to them.
They do.
Yeah.
No one listens to this one, though.
What kind of numbers do you get? Do you know?
I don't.
Well, how do you know no one listens to it?
I don't.
I would look it up.
How?
Well, that's part of getting into a podcast. That's when I do my podcast, I'm going to make sure I can track it.
Yeah.
You can find out where your listeners are.
Mm-hmm.
You might have one in Indonesia or something.
Oh, you know what? I do have one in Finland.
Nice. See?
Yeah.
Or someone just got their phone set wrong. But yeah.
No,
Probably
because he
right.
tweets, and often in Finnish.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, you should have a podcast because there aren't enough of them out there.
Well, that's the trick, is bringing something new to the podcast.
Exactly. So I didn't have to because I was the first one to ever do a podcast.
Is that, yeah?
Well, we're going to go with that.
So you're the number one podcast if you switch the rank to chronologically?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Nice.
I've been doing this since 2004.
That is a long time.
That is a very long time.
Yeah.
So it is also a radio show. So we shouldn't just say podcast because right now people are listening on the radio, and then maybe also right now, later, they're listening as a podcast.
This is an audio enterprise.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So, yeah, I've been doing it a very long time. So that's why I didn't need to have any kind of gimmick other than sitting and talking with a comedian.
Yeah, that's not bad. Now I'd really have to bring it gimmick-wise.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with some angle, some shtick. Maybe the Analogy podcast.
That's true.
Analogy and wine.
Yeah.
Spelled W-H-I-N-E.
Compared, yeah.
And you sip wine.
Now I think I can just do a wine podcast, like actual wine.
Yeah.
I know nothing about wine, and I think that would really bring an angle to it.
Yeah, because every time you'd have a different wine.
Yep.
A lot of great wines in Ontario.
That's true.
And maybe they could sponsor you.
I wouldn't want a sponsor about something I was about to review. That just seems like a... Do you have any sponsors?
No.
So we can complain about anything we want.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you listen to podcasts?
I do listen to podcasts.
What are your favorites other than this one?
Other than this one, I mean, when I find the time to listen to ones other than this, I will listen to Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you've talked to him. We're going to get to that, but who else do you listen to?
I used to listen to, I dip in and out of WTF.
Dip in and out, yeah. So you pick a guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like How Did This Get Made?
Haven't heard that one.
It's Paul Scheer, Jason Mantzoukas, and what's her name? It's 3 names, so I forget them. But they watch bad movies, and then they just tear them apart.
Oh, right.
The only problem is they've dipped into such bad movies that I haven't seen those movies. Like, if a movie is too bad, you haven't seen it. But when they dip into those ones that are bad, but we've all seen them, your Roadhouses, your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 featuring Vanilla Ice, those ones.
You can relate.
You can relate, and because you've seen them. You don't have to go back and do any homework. It's a great podcast.
Yeah. So have they ever done one that you actually liked? And you go, wait a second. This isn't bad.
Yeah, but they've also done ones that Jason himself liked. So they've done, they did Con Air, which is arguably it's one of those movies where, is it a bad movie if it's something that you watch when it comes on TV? I mean, if you break it down for logic, acting, directing, sure, it's bad. But if you watch it, isn't that a good movie? So there are those ones on the cusp, and those ones are my favorite.
I read an interview with you where you said something about, as an inspiration to anyone who wants to make something. You said, yeah, but this horrible movie, I forget which one you used, was made. It went through all the stages of development and approved along the way. So you shouldn't quit. Whatever it is you want to do, you shouldn't quit.
I don't know if I meant that to be inspirational.
Oh.
They might have added in the part where you shouldn't quit at the end. But no, it is true.
That's how I read it.
Isn't that one of those things where it could be good or bad, where it's like, bad movies get made all the time, why can't your movie get made? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, doesn't that also say you could work on this, you could write it, you could rewrite it, you could cast it, you could shoot it, it could be edited, and all the while it could still end up being a huge flaming pile of nonsense.
Yeah, that is true.
So ask me on what day, ask me each day if that was an inspirational quote or a cautionary tale, and it will change. I bounce around a lot.
Yeah. But, I talked to Kate Davis the other day, and she said something. It was about a podcast. I said, oh, yeah, there's so many out now, it'll just get lost. And she said 2 very profound words, or found. And I like that.
Wow. Yeah, Kate.
That's a glass half full kind of thinking.
Yeah, Kate's very glass half full.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could also say a rising tide floats all boats, which means if people are listening to a lot of podcasts, you can get in on that craze.
There you go. That took more words. Hers was more succinct.
Mine sounds more Chinese, though.
Very Confucian.
Yeah. Might have even been that guy.
Might have been, yeah. Oh, hey, on this tour, you mentioned all those cities that you're doing. Do you remember city by city, or are they just show after show, you just go out there? Like, does any stand out on this tour?
At the show, the city itself exists again. In the morning, when you're getting on or off a plane, it's a little sideways. I will tell you a little secret. They kind of treat us like rock stars, and they tape the name of the city onto the speaker. So when we're on stage, we know what city we're in. But generally, that's not an issue.
That's smart, because you don't want to come out and say the wrong name.
Yeah. None of us are hammered. Like, no one on the tour really drinks, so it's not an issue. I think generally, as long as you get up and you eat something half decent and you don't get drunk for breakfast, you can remember what city you're in for most of the day. But Toronto was great because we were at Massey Hall.
Oh, nice.
So again,
and it wasn't New Year's Eve.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to do no more 7 minutes at Massey Hall for Graham Chittenden. I'm up to 20 minutes. And Massey Hall is such a great theater.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else was great. Massey Hall was great. London was a lot of fun. Hamilton Place.
And you're just judging this by the reaction you're getting from the crowd.
Yeah, this is purely me being superficial and egotistical. So whatever city gave me,
but you guys feed off it.
It would be weird if they weren't there.
It's
agree.
A reciprocal arrangement, I guess.
This whole industry is based on instant reaction. Regina, and I don't want to say this like I'm too shocked, but the Regina show was fantastic. They've all been very good.
This isn't your first JFL tour, is it?
No, this is my biggest JFL tour, just as number of shows I've done. The JFL tour was split up last year, so I was only on the East Coast last year. So I did St. John's. We did
St. John's, Newfoundland.
St. John's, Newfoundland.
I always have to think. Is there an S? Okay, Newfoundland.
St. John's, Newfoundland. We did PEI, which I will say was probably one of my favorite shows of all time.
Why was that?
I have no idea. It was just so great. They were just so into it. It wouldn't be a good show if you were trying to force yourself to get better. It'd be a great show if you already thought you were the best and you need to have that verified, because that was the kind of night
It was a hot room.
One of those nights where you're like, I could do no wrong. And it's the kind of feedback that would lead to me being a very bad person.
Now, in something like that, you're doing essentially the same set, but maybe in the course of such a great night, things are said a little differently. Now, do you try to replicate that when you go to the next place? Hey, that killed that night before.
Well, if you add a line and it works, you'd keep it. But I think it would become cardboard after a while to do it with the same nuances every night. I don't think that's the issue. But you make a good point about saying the same stuff everywhere and it gets a different reaction. Because the last time I played Massey Hall, I was on the show and Kyle Radke was on the show. And so again, Massey Hall, not a great place if you're trying to be hard on yourself, because you will destroy there. And then we both had to go play Yuck Yucks in London 3 or 4 days later. And it was a Thursday, and it was a weird show where the people were the kids that worked downstairs in the concession. I think we're made about 40% of the audience. And we watched the same jokes that were so pumped with approval, we had to watch that balloon slowly deflate to a sad, dark room of indifference and the hum of an air conditioner. Or ventilation system, I should say. It was winter.
It's the roller coaster of showbiz.
It is.
How do you react to that? You can't say my material isn't good enough because it killed the night before, but at the same time you can't say, oh, my material is great because it tanked the night after. You know what I mean?
But
So
the
what do
beauty
you
of it
do?
was there was two of us there.
And
so you
it happened to
could
both.
say those people suck.
I see.
It's very hard when it's just you.
Mm.
But when two people...
Okay.
See, this is my scientific background coming in and helping me out again. When you have a control like that...
That's right.
That's the problem with bombing on the road by
control
yourself.
group.
Right. If you bomb on the road by yourself, it's horrible. Maybe somebody else could have shown up and done better. If that other person is already there and dies a slow, horrible death as well, didn't you just bond over a bunch of horrible people who don't appreciate comedy?
Yes! All right. I am sorry that I don't do any jokes in French. It's not going to happen tonight. I wish I could. I know. I see people, comedians, who are bilingual, and I'm like, wow, why wouldn't you get a better job with those skills? I have a girlfriend who wants, she's been mentioning lately that she might like to have children. And I have been reminding her that my parents can't afford that right now. That's where we're at. I'm like, really, kids? I lived with my parents until last year. Could they have a break from raising children? I was 28. I lived with my parents until I was 28 years old. And the only reason I moved out, the only reason, is because I read somewhere that not only is 28 too old to still live with your parents, but that it might be the sign of a developmental delay. I read that on a note in my room. And I left. I was out. God. So I'm out. I bought a house last year. Thank you. Yes, it wasn't great. It needed a little bit of work. And I didn't have the money to have it done, so I did all the work myself. Now it needs lots of work. I thought I could do it because people on TV, they fix up their house all the time. It takes a half an hour and it looks fun. Guess what? They're not showing you the things they need to show you on home renovation shows. They cut out the same thing every week. Where's the part where they lay on the floor and cry for an hour? Where's that? Where's the part of the episode where they shower at the neighbor's house every day for a month because their water has been turned off? Where's that? I need to see that so I don't have confidence going in. I don't know how electricity works. I just know that it comes in. It's essentially lightning that comes into your house through a tube, and you're like, yeah, I'll cut it. And then I'll go buy my lunch at Subway because I have to, because I can't make a sandwich. See what I'm saying? My confidence drops off. I should know. I can't do it. I've been tricked by places like Home Depot. The slogan was, you can do it, we can help. How can they legally lie to you twice like that in one slogan? How can they tell you one lie and then cap it off at the end? You could do it. I can't. We'll help. You won't. It's a conspiracy. They want you to come buy stuff. They sold to every contractor in the world, and they said, not good enough. What can we do? Hey, what if we just sell to any idiot that walks in off the street? Any moron that comes in here, we'll just sell him some wood. We'll tell him he can do it. He'll come buy wood to build something. Anyone. I'm talking to anyone. He'll come pick up the wood. No, he doesn't have a truck. He's just going to try and fit it into his Mazda. This is what I'm telling you. They're idiots. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're idiots. They can't do it. You can't do it. Once I get to Home Depot, that's when I realize I can't do it. If I could do it, I would recognize way more stuff in here. And then I get angry. I'm like, excuse me, do you work here? I can't do it, okay? Because I don't own any tools. And you can't help. Because you're just a retired teacher in an apron. We can't do this. Here's what we can do. You could send me the wrong way looking for a saw blade and then screw off into the garden center so I can't find you again. That's it. We can't do it. Stop telling me we could do it. My house was supposed to be nice by now. A year in, I can't get the wallpaper off. That's where I'm at. And nobody will show you how to take down wallpaper. You ever see Mike Holmes take down wallpaper? No. He tears down the wall and builds a new one if he has to, because it's faster. Those shows are not showing us what we need to see. I need my own show. We need people like me representing real-time home renovation. Watch for it, coming out on a new network this fall. It's called Graham Chittenden's I Hate This House. It's real-time home renovation. Real-time. 4-hour episodes. Every single episode is 4 hours long. I want you to see everything. The drinking, the swearing, the crying. There's one whole episode where I don't do anything because Die Hard's on TV, and I watch Die Hard. That's a whole episode. That's the whole thing. The whole first season is 26 4-hour episodes where I install one ceiling fan. That's the whole first season. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's just me, no tools, no training, just a box with a ceiling fan in a kitchen. Just me going, welcome to I Hate This House. I don't have a ladder. So go get a kitchen chair and bring it back here and put it on top of the kitchen table. So far, all we have to do is take out that old light fixture, and it's only held in by one screw. But I don't have that kind of screwdriver. So you grab yourself a beer, take a quick break, and I'm going to show you the proper way to use a butter knife. Thanks a lot, guys. My name is Graham Chittenden.
That was Graham Chittenden, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to What's So Funny on CFRO 100.5 FM, Vancouver Cooperative Radio. I'm Guy McPherson, and our guest this week, comedian Graham Chittenden. How long have you been doing this?
10 years.
I know you started with another former guest of the show, Jeff McHenry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where's he from?
He's from Acton, Ontario.
Oh, Acton, that's right.
Yeah, I know because I picked him up in Acton a lot, and I drove him back to Acton a lot.
On the dairy farm.
Yes. He was definitely north of the city where the pavement ends, yeah.
No pavement in Jeff's part. Now, Jeff lived here for a couple years, I think.
Yeah.
And now he's back in Toronto.
He's in L.A.
L.A., what?
Yeah. Everybody but me.
Are they remaking Deliverance?
I don't know what they're doing down there with him. You'll have to ask him. He disappears a lot. I don't get a lot of Christmas cards from Jeff McHenry. Every time I see him, I'm pumped to see him. And every time I don't see him, I'm not that surprised.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. Now, you said everybody but you's down there. I know your pal Deb DeGiovanni's. Is she still down there?
She's down there.
Doing well?
Doing well. Hopefully soaking up some sun. I got to play, talk about just for laughs tours, I got to play Bermuda with her last year.
Oh, Bermuda.
So that was fun. As long as you don't expect it to be warm, it's very nice.
It wasn't warm.
It's not tropical.
Oh, it isn't?
Subtropical. It's off the East Coast. It's off the coast of one of the
Oh,
Carolinas.
It's so it's north.
Yeah, it's not down in the not down in your other.
So you went there thinking, aha, it's fun in the sun.
I did not.
Oh, you did not.
Because
You did.
I do my research.
Right.
I said don't go down there if you expect it to be warm.
It's
People have gone down there. Robert Kelly,
I thought
who was on the tour with me, went down there. Well, he thought he was going down there and ended up going over there, expecting it to be warm, and found it to be subtropical.
It's that scientific background of yours.
Just reading before you go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's no reflection on Robert Kelly, though, is it?
Well, it has to be a reflection on somebody, doesn't it?
I guess. I didn't want to say.
I've been on tour long enough with him to let him know that he should have Googled Bermuda. Spent 30 seconds on a Wikipedia page.
How's the weather been across Canada?
It's been very good. Light dusting of snow in Calgary. Nothing I can't handle.
Good.
I didn't bring a winter jacket, so it's nice to end in Vancouver and Victoria. I didn't want to pack anything so large, so I just held out.
Smart. You don't need to go out except for to the van.
Get in the van, get back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Vancouver, we have some time. I've been walking around.
That's right. Today you get an all day off, so I appreciate you talking to me
No, it's
for
a pleasure.
part of it.
Yeah.
No, we're not finished. Don't say it was a pleasure.
All right, it's a pleasure. I'll see you later. Wait, what? Yeah.
You were late. You're gonna have to stay.
I'll stay right to the end.
Yeah, stay right to the end.
I wasn't here for the start. I might as well see the finish.
So do you always work clean?
Yeah. When I first started, I had a few dirty jokes because they're an easy reaction, a quick pop.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that all dirty jokes are a quick, easy fix. I'm not one of those clean comics who thinks it's the only way to work.
You're not a prude.
I hope not. No, I'm not a prude. I don't do anything. I try not to do anything I wouldn't tell people I do.
Say that again.
Well,
try
I'm not
not-
a prude, but I'm not jamming stuff into me for no reason, just to see how it feels.
Okay.
I'm somewhere in the middle. Wait, this is radio too. Can I say that? Could I have just said that?
You did.
But
Yeah.
will you edit it out?
No, I will not.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not a prude, and but I'm a pretty easygoing guy with few to no fetishes and a mandate not to swear in front of people who I think wouldn't enjoy it.
So, but you used to. And when did that change and why?
I think it just quickly changed and pretty naturally. Just as my jokes went from one-liners. I don't have any dirty stories about my life. I don't have anything autobiographically dirty. So anything in my act that was dirty was more of a play on words kind of a joke. I think one of my first jokes was, I'll probably even just clean it up for now, but one of my first jokes was like I was in my room, tugging one out, and my mom started pounding on the door because she wanted out. So it's just a play on word joke that didn't really happen. Mom, if you figured out podcasting, you're listening. It didn't really happen. So just as those kind of phased out,
Right.
just as my act became autobiographical, nothing in the boudoir became stage worthy.
Right. So that's an interesting point because you say you made that clean, right? But the topic still is iffy.
Right.
So you could avoid all the swear words you want and still be dark or dirty.
Right, and that's we've
But
talked
you
about
don't do
before.
that.
No, and I've discussed that before because
With
I always I've discussed it with a lot of people, but a good example is Chris Quigley has a joke that is essentially an ass-to-mouth joke that he used to tell. He could tell it in much cleaner situations than some comics because he never said ass. Do you know the joke?
human centipede? What
No,
is-
have you ever heard the joke, Chris Quigley's joke about he saw this movie where this girl took this guy's thing and he took it out of her butt and he put it in her mouth, and then I'm not going to be a comic who ruins other comics jokes, but
Okay.
that's how he tells the joke. It's the one
Okay.
about, and then he got slapped for trying to give his girlfriend a hot dog that fell off the barbecue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen him tell it to people in suits who are having dinner because he never says anything graphic. Just about clean. That's also a funny thing with bookers. When you book a show and they say clean,
yeah, they just mean don't say the F word.
sometimes
Oh, okay.
they mean no sex. Sometimes they mean you can tell all these sex jokes, and if you have one F-bomb in your act, you're shot. So it's so weird.
It
Clean
is weird.
Clean is such a weird way to work.
Because you do a lot of corporate stuff.
I do. I have a lot of suits. I need them for something.
Yeah.
I got my. Were you going to say little suits? I got a bunch of little suits.
I wasn't. I don't know what I was going to say.
You were going to say I have a bunch of little suits because
No.
I'm 5'6".
You're 5'6".
5'6", 38 short jacket. So I thought you were going to say, oh, you got all your little suits and you dress yourself up like a Ken doll and you go to your little corporates. And I do. That's all very true.
It's great, though. On TV, you look full-size.
I get to a lot of gigs and people are disappointed in my height. Or surprised.
A lot of women?
Men.
Men.
Yeah, it's more of an alpha male issue.
Do you get the little buddy kind of thing?
Yeah.
Slap on the back?
I get a lot of slaps on the back. Yeah. Not so much in corporate anymore, but yeah, comedy. It would have been nice to be physically imposing early on in my comedy career. People would be less likely to just think you're a little stuffed animal.
But you're a very handsome guy.
Oh, thank you. That's why I do audio podcasts.
I'm not flirting. You're a very handsome guy. So you look great on the TV.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you do a lot of writing on TV. And probably more writing than in front of the camera, right?
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. Yeah, year to year. I mean, I was on MTV very briefly.
That's right. Oh, that's what we were going to talk about.
4 days a week.
Yeah.
I was on there.
That's Canada's Much Music. I mean, America's Much Music, right?
But it is also now, it's confusing now because sometimes it is and sometimes it's not because Much Music is now Much, and they only air as much music as they have to appease their music contract, and then they show South Park and Tosh Point all the rest of the day, and then MTV Canada doesn't show music anymore, and around the time I left MTV Canada, they decided that Teen Wolf was going to carry them through the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Orny Adams.
Orny Adams, yes.
Former guest on this show.
Very nice.
He was a good one.
Good guest in what way?
Very, had lots to say, very opinionated, and excitable.
Oh, now as a very analytical, self-doubting man, how am I doing right now?
You're doing great.
What did you wish I was going to bring more something or other to this podcast? More stories, more anger?
No, I like what you're bringing.
Okay.
I usually like the guests. Sometimes it's more difficult.
Okay. But be honest, what could I be doing right now that would be nailing it?
Not putting me on the spot like this, maybe? Yeah. Not turning it over to me.
Right.
Not turning it on me.
Right.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Make me carry it for an hour.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
right.
you got to carry it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, how are we doing for time? Because I mean, you have handlers here. Normally,
yeah.
I just sit down with people, they agree to do it, but I had to go through like 4 people to get to you.
But that's just for kicks, almost. That's just someone you sense now and it's only for this. Any other time, I don't even know why they do that sometimes. I do know why because I've met the people who need that. But
you mean performers?
Performers. Some performers, they kind of need to, be led astray, and be carried around.
Because just their heads are in the clouds?
Either they don't want to deal with it, and that's a very valid argument. Sometimes they can't deal with it, and that's also a character trait that's acceptable. But really for this, we could have just gone through me.
Could have just emailed you.
Yeah.
And you would have said, yeah, sure.
All you did was email somebody else who sent it to me, and then I said, yeah, sure, and then I sent it back to them, and then they sent, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
I don't want you to think I'm unapproachable.
You seem approachable, but who knows?
Yeah.
Because you could just turn it on as soon as your handlers come in here.
That's true. I don't want to appear like that hot girl in high school who never got any dates because she was unapproachable. I don't want to have one of those personalities.
No, you don't.
Good.
That's good. So what were we talking about? We were talking about you. I reminded you that you have more writing credits than in front of camera credits.
That's true.
And you, by saying you reminded me, I'm thinking that this doesn't please you. You would like more acting credits, or at least in front of the camera credits.
Well, yeah, I think so. No, I was just teasing you a little bit. But yeah, writing I find to be much harder, I think, for comedians.
It's just harder.
Well, we talked about there's so much self-doubt in writing because you're sitting down not making anybody laugh. And most certainly not really always making yourself laugh. And if you only were going to write things that you yourself laughed out loud at, you would probably sit there and stare at nothing for a while. Yeah. So it's a little trickier. Yeah. Plus, being on TV is it's an easier thing. It's a nice snowball to roll up. The more you're on TV, the easier I think it becomes to get on TV. It has a bit of momentum to it.
Well, isn't that true with even writing? Because once you have that credit, people go, "Oh, this guy can write. We're going to get him on my show."
Yep.
To write.
Well, of course, it's such a weird thing where you don't even know how you start a career because you get a little scrap here, you get a little job here. I did like a little punch up on this.
Then all of a sudden, that's how people see you.
Exactly, yeah. And the same thing on TV. You get a little here, you get a little spot on this gala, you get a little thing here, you get a little role on this TV show. one little spot.
Because you're much more handsome than Jerry D, and yet he has his own show. And you write on that show, and you've only had a small part on it once.
Yeah, I might have. Yeah, I should have held out for a better part. I should have held out for
What was your part?
I was a basketball scout.
Oh, I think I saw that episode.
Yeah, I was a basketball scout.
A 5'6" basketball scout.
Well, my line was you don't have to be that tall to watch basketball.
That is true.
So I made the mistake of playing a character who was from out of town and would have very little reason to come back to the school. And that's dumb. You want to hold out for a guy who maybe lives next to the school. That's what I should have done.
Right. I mean, there are ways you could write that character quitting his job, moving to the town, and becoming a basketball coach.
I got to ask you this. Do you think I didn't think of that? That was my plan. That was while we were shooting it, I was thinking of storylines like that.
Did you run it by anyone?
They don't like a lot of that coincidence, that over coincidence. The one where suddenly by 4 or 5 strokes of luck ended up at the very school that he once had a small guest role at. They don't like it, and I don't blame them for that.
Right.
Because it is a little, look who's here now. I stowed away. I got a job at the school I decided to be a teacher. I mean, I know they thought about, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but let's just go ahead. I know they always thought about whether Darren Rose would somehow wind up in the school just to keep him in the stories, but it was very hard to be like, I decided to be a teacher this week. So it kept him out of the school, was not being one of those sitcoms that's like, I'm a doctor now.
And now he's Jerry's sounding board.
Yes.
For exposition of the story.
I'm glad that you, okay. So we're not hiding things as well as we thought we were.
But they're great scenes. They're very funny.
Yeah.
So do you still write on the show?
No, I'm not back this year.
They got rid of you?
They started earlier, and I was unavailable to do it because I was on a tour with Jerry D.
Wait, that makes no sense.
It does to them.
Well, because the writers have to start before he shows up.
Well, he's one of the writers, but yeah.
But wait, this makes no sense because he's the star of the show. He's one of the writers.
Yeah.
You were on a tour with him elsewhere.
Yeah.
But you couldn't start the job with Jerry D's show because you were with Jerry D somewhere else. So how could he see? I don't buy this. I think it was an excuse. They didn't like you.
I know.
They didn't like you.
No, yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, they started earlier this year because genuine. I think they start. I forget when we started. It used to be like April.
Yeah.
And they've already started this year, which is good because they have more time because now there'll be less overlap as far as writing while they're shooting. It'll be a little less. They'll feel a lot better about it. So.
But Jerry's here today in Vancouver.
Yeah, he's somewhere. I think he's out buying. He drinks a lot of juice on the road. He's out buying fresh squeezed juice. Vancouver's a good place for that.
Yeah, it is.
He generally buys 8 juices. He can drink 6 before we have to fly out the next time, and then he generally chugs 2 at the departure gate at an airport.
And he spends the whole plane ride in the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah. But you see where I'm getting? Like they've already started, yet he's not there.
Right.
So how does that work?
Well, he does work while he's on the road.
Okay. So they haven't started filming.
Oh, no, filming. No, that's hard to do that from a no. He's got to be there for that. No, they won't film.
Because he's in every scene.
He's in a lot of the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm breaking this all down for you. He's not in a lot of the B stories, if you notice that. If you want to break it down.
True, but he's always somewhere hovering.
He's in about 70% of the scenes. Yeah, he's on set almost every day. A couple of days off is rare for him.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, you agree.
I genuinely was I was happy with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was proud to be one of the people who wrote some of those lines. And if you want to watch it with me, I'll point out which ones I'm just kidding.
You probably do point it out, but you just won't, not to me.
I'd have to show you in the script. Actually, the funny thing is, with that show, the cast is so talented that some days they just would come up with something infinitely better.
Oh, in the moment.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was really
there are
fun.
a lot of great comic actors, improvisers, and stand-ups.
Oh, amazing. Jonathan Torrance, Mark Little,
Yeah.
Even Darren. I mean, I don't want to say even Darren, but you know what I mean. Even Darren, who only gets to act against Jerry.
No, I get what you mean.
Great.
Even Darren.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is Darren has such a limited role as far as we always have, like you said, Jerry sounding off to him, and even in those moments, Darren is great at sneaking in a quip, making a little look. It's very good.
Yeah.
All the stuff he does is great. And then again, you let Jonathan and Mark fly, and even Kathleen Phillips, if you let her go, so great.
Not Mark Forward anymore.
Not Mark Forward anymore. No.
Too bad.
Yeah.
He was a good character.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've Chinese in-laws, so his Chinese heritage on the show really spoke to me.
Oh, you have Chinese in-laws. Are you married? I guess.
Not legally,
Oh,
but every other.
so you have illegal Chinese in-laws.
I think they're yeah. Well, they're gone again. My girlfriend's common law's wife-ish. Depends on what I call her. I'm working this into my act already, so I won't be one of those guys that tries it out on you. But I call my girlfriend in casual conversation, but in things like applying for credit, or if you're doing something where your credibility is in question,
Right.
or you're generally talking to older guys. If you're at a country club and there's a lot of mahogany and leather chairs, and you want to seem like you fit in, you say wife.
Yeah, in the corporates.
She's floating right in that middle. She's right in the pocket right now.
Any plans?
Yeah, she does wedding makeup, and she goes to a lot of weddings, and she sees it, and she doesn't like what it turns people into. And she
Oh,
thinks
yeah.
the
Well,
day
you
is a
don't
lot
need the big ceremony.
Yeah, if we do it, we're going to do it small. We're going to get outfits for the dogs. We're going to have a poutine bar.
Oh, yeah, you're a dog guy.
Dog guy. Yeah, so it'll be us and the dogs and some close friends, and again some interesting food, short affair.
Practice kids is what dogs are, right?
I don't think we're making the next step.
No?
No.
Ever.
No plans.
Three dogs?
A lot more than that now.
3-dog night?
5.
5 dogs.
5 dogs right now.
Too many dogs.
That's what the city thinks.
Is there a limit?
3. But we're fostering.
In Toronto. Is this everywhere, do you know?
No,
I've never
different. And
heard
if
of
you live in the country, if you live in the outskirts, you can have as many as you want.
Right. So what can they do? Can they come and take 2 away?
They can if they want to. They won't.
They might.
They gave them to us. We got them from the SPCA. We volunteer at the SPCA, and we foster dogs.
Oh, and the city approved.
Well, the
They gave them to
the city might not approve, but the city also in Brantford gives their animal control contract to the SPCA, which they do in some places and some they don't. Sometimes sometimes animal control and the SPCA are 2 separate entities, and other times they're one.
You still live in Brantford?
I live in Brantford.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's and you lived at home till you were 28.
Yeah, I mean, I simplify and say 20. I bounced in and out a few times because I moved to Toronto. We moved back. We lived there. I lived there again a little bit while I was buying a house.
Okay, we mentioned earlier that you interviewed Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
So in your role as a host on MTV, you spoke to a bunch of comedians. Was it comedians only, or did you talk to actors and musicians?
That was a different show, and I wish it had gone. I have to admit I had more fun doing that.
It
was a 1-week show for JFL 42.
Oh, okay.
Bell Media had contracts with all of the JFL 42 acts to do interviews, but they didn't have a show that necessarily would fit sit-downs with comedians, and I still worked there. It was a weird thing. I worked for Bell but didn't have a show on MTV anymore. So it's weird. They could cancel your show, but you still work there, and that's where I was. And so we did
like
this
a contract.
Yeah, you were on a contract, so even if you didn't have a show. So there were days where I just showed up and then waited, and then I went home. You'd try and be proactive, and we'd shoot some pilots or some test footage. But some days you would go, and you'd take like an 8-hour coffee break, and then you'd go home. So then this came up, and this was amazing. I got to do 1 week. Everybody was in town for JFL 42. So I sat down with Bill Burr, Aziz Ansari, Sarah Silverman, Sam Simmons, Janine Garofalo, John Mulaney, Hannibal Buress.
All one-on-one.
All one-on-one.
And for varying lengths, or was there a set time?
Varying lengths because of how long they went. And I haven't done a lot of interviewing, so I didn't keep it short at all, which was fun, I think, for me and not so much for editors and producers. But I went on.
What was the finished product? How long was that?
Bill Burr ended up being its own episode. We were going to do 2 per
like
episode.
Half hour? 22 minutes?
Yeah, 22 minutes. There was some interstitials and an intro and a couple of clips. But overall, yeah, I think the interview itself is a good, generous portion of that show.
Can we see that anywhere?
My website.
Oh, it's on there.
Yep. You can see it at grahamchit.com. I think it's on there. Or I have it on Vimeo because YouTube's got this thing with who owns what. So it's on Vimeo right now.
Okay. Are all the episodes there?
No, I'm in the process. I'm going to try and track them down and shorten them down so you don't have to wade through my inane questions and my idiotic giggling that I realize I do now.
Did they all know that you're a comic?
I made it. I tried to make that clear.
You didn't want to be just another interviewer.
For a little credibility, I tried to make
Yeah.
it clear. So I lucked out with Bill, somebody else had been there. Who was there? Janine Garofalo. I just done the Janine Garofalo interview, and they crossed paths, and Janine told Bill that it was fun. And I think that gives you a little extra boost where if a comic goes, oh, you'll actually have a good time. He came in with like, oh, we're talking to a comic. So that was good.
Right.
And then John Mulaney, I asked him a question about a joke that he'd only ever done at one show. And I was at that show. So
and that just stood out to you.
well,
You liked
I think
that
it made
joke.
him realize, oh, you actually come to see comedy. Because truthfully, they did dress me up in one of my little suits. I had my
Yeah.
nice, stupid sea salt spray coif of hair going. I had my little pocket square in. So I looked a bit like a guy who was just taking a break from doing the weather to do a comedy interview. So I think anytime I could try and just remind them that I actually was out doing, comedy with them, it was better.
Who was the best?
Who's the best interview?
Yeah.
The most wild fun was Sam.
Okay, Sam Simmons.
Yeah, who does the bread shoes. We cut bread shoes. But they were all good. Bill was fun because we talked for a long time, and he's a great guy that, like, you can wind up and then he goes, and you can wind up and then he goes. So we talked about hockey and other things like that. So he was a good time.
Who was the worst?
I had some trouble with Sarah Silverman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Former guest on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was destined to fail from the start because of the problem you faced with me, unfortunately, of handlers. I had people, look at me. I had people setting up an interview with her people, and the misunderstanding was, I think, in the fear of trying to get an interview, they kept saying, well, we're just doing a few quick stings. So I think she thought she was going to sit down for a minute and go, hey, come to JFL 42 on Comedy Network. Hey, you're watching this on this. Check this out. Coming live from... So I think we kept... And I think her handler kept telling her we had like 5 minutes. But we wanted to get like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So she came down in the elevator. We did it at where she was staying in the room there, kind of the same way you're doing this here. We did it at her hotel in a room. And again, I was listening to the producers who wanted me to ask these questions. And the question was about her being insulted by the roast. There was that weird thing going on about her being offended.
Her age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked it, and I think she thought I was another Entertainment Tonight style actor trying to get a soundbite about something I hadn't really thought about. But I was actually trying to get that second layer, and I'm confusing myself as I say this, that second layer of why do you think people bother with these easy bait questions? She thought I was asking one of those easy bait questions. Hey, do you really think you're old or something? So she kind of went off on me a little bit, possibly to be humorous.
I'm sure.
Possibly to be angry. I don't know, yeah. But it ended up feeling, the whole thing felt weird. And I didn't enjoy it so much, and I would always love to interview her again, and
Without all the handlers.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's the expectations.
Of course,
She didn't know.
they set her up for the wrong thing, and when they didn't give it to her, she was justifiably mad.
But do you like doing the interviews? You like conducting them?
I did, yeah. I enjoyed it. I think if you have even a little bit of curiosity, right?
Yeah.
You have questions to ask. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of handlers, they're here to
They're here.
corral you.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you, Graham Chittenden.
Thank you for nailing my last name, and thank you for having me out.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right.
Good
Take
night.
care.
What a guy that Graham Chittenden is. Hey, I tell you, here's something about him. Right after I spoke with Graham, Robert Kelly entered the room, and you're going to hear my talk with Robert Kelly next week. And then Graham went out and purchased us both coffees. Using his own money, he went out, came back, brought us coffee. What other comic would do that for you, I tell you? So thanks to Graham Chittenden for the coffee, for the conversation. Hope you enjoyed it. As I say next week, Robert Kelly. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Good night.